Hey guys, it's Real Fun Fishing Southwest Florida. If you've been liking my videos, please hit that like, subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications. Today we're going to be going into my favorite baits to use in Southwest Florida and my little ponds or the Calossahatchee River up past the locks and all that way where it's nice and fresh water, like a lot of fresh water. So these are the top baits that I like to use. I think there are about 7 of them, and we'll go ahead and get into it and I'll show you what they are. Okay, so with my soft plastics, I like to use 2 rods. I prefer ugly sticks, you know what I mean? The nice GX2 or whatever it's called. I don't mind the Shakespeare reels. They're okay, but when they get old, I definitely upgrade them and have them better. But I do like the ugly stick rods. I use a 6'6" because I'm short. I'm like 5'6", so a really tall rod doesn't work too good with me when I'm trying to skip it underneath docks and this and that, and my boat's not real big, so I don't have a lot of room to do it sideways without hooking my wife. I take 1 rod, and I have a nice big weight. Here, let me show you. Not a big weight, but a decent size weight. This is like a 3/16 or whatever. It's a pretty good size with a nice big hook. This is a 7.5 inch worm, and as you can see, like, it goes, you know, a pretty good ways down, you know, past the little bumper. My tip is right there in the middle of that bumper, and that's where I like it. That works good for me because I get a lot of tail strikes with the worm, and I use this with everything. I'll switch my grubs, my worms. The only thing I don't really use it is with the soft plastic frog, because I like throwing this weightless. It's just a hook, just one of these big hooks. This is the size of the hook I use for that, and I like doing that because I want that frog to float, and that's why I buy the floating plastic, because I want that frog to sit right on top, and just, you know, I reel it in and it just, the legs splash, and that's pretty much it. And I usually get pretty good strikes. A lot of times it's smaller ones. They're not like super big, but I've got a pretty good one on there. And then I use an ugly stick, 6'6", because I'm short, with a really tiny weight. I mean, this weight is like almost non-existent, as you can see. I mean, it's just something there to keep actually, the only reason I really use it is to keep a tip on it so it'll pull through the weeds so it doesn't catch the hook itself. And then a smaller hook, as you can see, that's a smaller hook. See, it doesn't go as far down, and it's a little bit lighter of a gauge, so it floats really small. This is great for my little pond back here because I got a lot of grass in that pond, and you just drag it real slow through that grass, and boom, you'll get a hit. Those ponds got a lot of small ones, but it's pretty good. And then this one I actually upgraded to a Spartan reel, and the Spartacus 2 or whatever. This reel, it's a Cast King reel. Cast King Spartacus 2. Man, I really like this reel. It's smooth. And as you can see, I loaded up with braid. I use braid for everything. I mean, honestly, a lot of guys like having a fluorocarbon leader, which is good, but we got so much grass and so much lily pads around here, you're gonna be breaking off, and I don't know, I get tired of tying stuff up. So, but yeah, those are the rods that I use for the soft plastics. I do have a 7'2" ugly stick that's really soft. It's like I don't even think you can buy them anymore. Like, this tip is so light, like you could, I mean, it just barely pulls, and it pulls great. I like using that with my frogs because I can make it walk the dog really good. Like, and that's the one good trick with these frogs. If you actually want to catch a big bass, is you got to make it walk the dog. They'll attack it if you're just looping it, but walking the dog works great. And you can actually do that with these big poppers too, that I like doing. I like walking the dog with the popper. If I'm not getting hits, I'll just start walking the dog. That way I ain't got to tie off or cut off and tie one of these on, because that's what I usually use to walk the dog, the ones with the spinning blades in the front and back. And as you can see, I lost the hook on that one from something big hit it and it broke it off. I think it was actually an alligator gar because, man, they're tough around here. So, but yeah, those are the rods I like to use. We'll go ahead and get into all the baits. Okay, so first off, we'll go ahead and start with the soft plastics. As you can see, I got a wide range of soft plastics. I like a creature with 2 colors. I just grabbed any one I had. I like a dark and then a medium dark color, or I'll go real light. I like using these paddle tails, and I dip it in this stinkum stuff that I've been making. And as you can see, it's got a lot of good little red flake and this and that. And then I'll use like a clear one that has like almost like a bluegill sunfish kind of look to it. And, you know, because I can make those myself. And then obviously you use any type of worm. Here's another 2-color worm, the red, the strawberry and the blueberry color with a lot of blue and black flake in it. And then I got my lemon lime, which is really nice. This one's cool. Like it has, you know, holographic silver in it on one side, and then on the other side I throw in red and black. And it actually looks really cool in the water. I should do a video about it in the water. And then obviously any June bug or black with blue flake. And then obviously any watermelon. Watermelon works good around here because we got pretty good visibility until it starts raining way too much. And it's April right now, so it hasn't been raining a lot. But yeah, you can use a Cinco or, you know, the bandito bug or the Zoom frog. Obviously 7.5 inch worm and then a creature. I like using the frogs with no weight and braid, so that way it stays on top, and I just throw it out, and I have a big hook, you know, like almost, you know, one of those Yatsumoto really heavy-duty hard hooks, and I just reel it in, and those tails flap, and bam, you know, you'll get a big old hit on those. And then we work over to frogs, obviously, since we're talking about frogs. I got a black one, and I paint the bottom of this black, so that way it stays black. And then I always cut my trailers a little bit, so that way they bite the hooks. And then you got a green one, but it has the white with the spots on the bottom. And then obviously you use any kind of motion bait that has like a spinner on it. Those work pretty good, but the problem is we got so much lily pads and stuff down here in Florida. It's kind of hard to use a lot of those, so I like using ones that do a lot of motion and splash real hard. And then any kind of soft rubbery fish that flaps like that, you know, that works real good. Or you can use a hard bait one. So those work pretty good too. But my main thing is I love top water, so that's why I use frogs a lot. And then I use poppers. Now let's get into these poppers. There's a couple things that I want to talk about with these poppers. See how I got the white trailer on one and then the red on the other? That's really the only thing I kind of look at, is because this white will stand out in the water a little more when it's, you know, kind of dark, and that red and this and that will stand out pretty good when it's, you know, light or whatever. And then obviously I use the poppers that have the big mouths, you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. Like it's got a big mouth, and see how it's like curved and scooped, so I get that good bloop, you know what I mean, that sound you make. And then I use pretty much 2 sizes. This one, I lost the trailer tail to it, so I just put a hook on. But I like this one because it's just a little bit bigger than the other ones. I try to stay around, I don't know, 3.5, 4 inches, and then maybe about 5 with this one. And that's about it. And those really big poppers, they just don't work for me. I usually just chuck them in the woods and lose them. So, but yeah, those are the, you know, main baits that I use in April, and in mainly just in Southwest Florida all the time. So yeah, guys, those are the main baits that I like to use. Like I said, I really like topwater, so I like frogs, poppers, and, you know, that topwater frog, that's so soft plastic, which I don't mind losing a lot, so, because it's cheap and I make them on my own. I've been trying to work on the store, waiting on Wix to give me that discount so I can pay for the year for the e-commerce store or whatever. But if you guys have been wanting, you know, to check out some of the baits or whatever, just go ahead and email me at Real Fun Fishing, Southwest Florida, SWFL, Florida, at gmail.com, and I'll go ahead and, you know, email you back, and we'll talk about, or you could comment and we'll go ahead and talk about what kind of baits you want or whatever. I do sell them in bulk, like the watermelon, the June bug, the blackwood blue flake. I sell in big bulk bags. You got to contact me, and then we'll find out how much it is to ship it to you or whatever. And I can go ahead and, you know, make you a bunch of them. I have two types of baits. I have floating and sinking. I get plastic from Dead On, which is pretty good plastic. So, and then I've tried the baits plastic, and they're pretty good, but it's all floating, and you got to add salt to those, which we could have a whole big discussion about salt. But long story short, if you're a home bait maker, I don't really recommend using salt because a couple main reasons. Like my main reason, one was the consistency of the salt. Even with the popcorn salt, it just didn't want to be as even in every bait, no matter how much I stirred it, which obviously, if you've ever made soft plastics before, you don't want to be stirring it all super bunch because then you're putting bubbles in it. And two, it does weaken the plastic. You could feel it. It does not stretch as malleable. The salt settles in certain areas, so one part of the bait will actually, I made a bunch of them, and the front of the bait would sit up, and the back of the bait would sit up, and the middle just wanted to sink because that's where all the salt clumped. And you could tell that from mixing the salt, it does settle at the bottom a lot. So that's a couple main things that I've noticed about the salt. So that's why I'm buying the Dead On sinking plastic from now on. But yeah, if you've been liking my videos, please hit the like, subscribe, click that bell for more notifications.